sort of flagship roles in the organization.
Yeah.
And, that's ultimately, I think, what we're trying to do. And all of that, when we think about sort of the modernization of HR, the modernization of the future of work, we have to infuse, those things into what we're trying to do to create that modern experience for our employees. Wow.
So let me be purposefully provocative before I hand this back off to Sarah for her to ask any questions she might have. Everything you just said to me resonates very powerfully, and kind of reminds me of conversations I've had recently and a few years ago as well. And what was interesting in one of those conversations, the CHRO in that company said to me, all of this is so important to our business. I mean, it's just central, and it really is. The human capital element of this equation is so powerfully important to our potential success that the CEO basically is having my group lead the strategic discussions connected to, hey, what are the big strategic critical objectives and what are the human capital risks associated with it? Now, it's very much a partnering kind of approach, but I was wondering, but it really struck me that the CEO had basically said, no, this is a human capital issue. So just to give you a little bit of my background, I used to work in finance, so I worked with CFOs, controllers, and treasurers, and there was a lot of time in my early career where it was the CFO who was being asked to do that, and it just struck me that I'm seeing more and more this elevation of HR into that kind of critical role, which is it's so central to what we're trying to do. It's the human capital element of the equation that's so critical that we really need HR to be running that strategic conversation with the business, which requires a whole different set of skills as well, right, for the HR group itself.
Absolutely. You are spot on, and I think that this is what I mean by, I think it's a holistic view, right? So when I think about, we've done a great job as an HR industry to sort of get ourselves through the last 2 years, but I think the next revolution, or whatever whatever word you want to use, needs to come like now around what is HR, what are the capabilities, how does HR structure to solve these problems, how does HR work in a flexible, nimble way? Because I think from a capability standpoint, and I know I'm overgeneralizing this a little bit, but just for the sake of the conversation, I think what we've traditionally done is raised people in HR within HR. Right? Yep. They've started their jobs as a generalist. They might have done some rotations. They've grown up within the discipline, and then they're good HR folks, but they don't truly know business. They don't really know economic logic. They don't know consumer and client logic. They don't have organizational and market logic, right? So it's what we need is more true business acumen, people that have come from the business, people that have financial acumen. I think that's the skill of it. The HR part can be taught. That's the stuff that we need in HR more and more, particularly in these critical HR business partner roles. And I think, when we see these CHROs, I think, we have a new CHRO here who's got a business background, right? He's a kind of a former CPA. He's been in the sales organization, strong financial background, and really a strong advocate in creating a lot more relevancy for the HR department. And it's putting us in a different position to be very, very influential for the business. And more to come. He's only been here for 5 months and made huge strides. So I think that's the type of skill set that we need up and down with our organization.
Yeah. Well, just to build on that, and then I'll hand it back to Sarah, I was looking through some notes of mine over the weekend from a study I worked on a few years ago. And in my notes, I sort of captured what this one group was telling me they were trying to do. And they said, we're moving our HR team from having what we call functional building skills to having instead business building skills. Yeah. And in that business building bucket, it was really kind of fascinating. They articulated a few of the skills that they were kind of looking for. And one of them was, instead of being supporters of decision making, which is what we tend to do in HR, we want people to challenge decision making. Right. In the sense that we come to the table with such unique